In Azure Maps, Blazor Succinctly, you can learn how to create sophisticated applications with Azure Maps and Syncfusion controls in Blazor. And to go into more detail of the other benefits you can receive with this book, in today's video, we are graced with author of Azure Maps using Blazor Succinctly and winner in the 2023 Succinctly Reader Award, Michael Washington. Hi, Michael. How's it going?
Okay, thank you for having me.
Oh, we're always happy to. I know I did a quick introduction of kind of some of the like a quick overview of what you might get with the ebook, but would you mind giving us a quick summary as well as go into some detail about some of the stuff that people might see in this book?
Okay, yes, the book basically covers how to use the product from Microsoft, which is Azure Maps, and the book covers, uh, the various features that that product offers, as well as providing C# code, also using Microsoft Blazor to implement actual applications. And the book goes through all the code that you would need and walks you through step by step. It is written from a beginner level. So if you don't know anything about Azure Maps, then this book is for you.
Right, nice. And I know that we've had other content with you before about Blazor, and I know you've been involved with it for a little while, but I was just kind of curious, like when did you first become interested in Blazor and all the adaptions around it?
I started with Blazor about 5 years ago when it first started as a demo project by the creator of Blazor, who is Steve Sanderson of Microsoft. And the promise was to allow you to create modern applications without requiring you to use JavaScript. While you can use JavaScript if needed, it's not required. So most of your code can be C# from end to end. So that really is the promise of Blazor, and it totally achieves that. And that's why I've been involved with Blazor, for a while, and I've written several books on the subject.
Nice. Well, I know it sounds like you had a pretty good end with, being given the chance by the creator of Blazor. Is there anything that you wish you could kind of known to like in whatever you were first started and like, oh God, if I had known this, I could have done this so much faster, or this would have been the connection I was looking for this whole time.
Well, it's funny. I decided to start writing a book um, when Steve Sanderson first did the initial proof of concepts. So, because of that, it forced me to get deeper into it than I normally would have had I not been trying to write a book. And I really spent almost a year trying to learn how to write this book. Yeah, so, um, because I had spent so much time on it, actually, I don't actually have to look back and think that there was something I missed. Um, um, I am grateful though for that experience, and that's why I like to write books. So, kind of leading into this subject, the reason why I decided to write this particular um, book for the Succinctly series was because there wasn't a lot of documentation regarding C# and using Azure Maps. There are a lot of samples, but they're JavaScript. So I, of course, was looking for C#, and because I didn't find a lot, that's what got into my head that what, maybe I could be the person to write a book to provide C# samples. And again, of course, that forced me to really get deeper into Azure Maps. And again, I don't regret it because it's been a good experience.
Nice. And I mean, I know you mentioned at the very beginning, like of that question was like one of the things that really originally taught you was writing a book. As like, and I know you just completed this one. Is like, was there anything that you really uncovered, or like anything that you've taken away from like completing this book, and like, oh wow, like I never would have thought about this or anything else.
Yeah, I guess the number one thing would be I didn't realize how hard it is to determine where the user of a mapping application is right now. So right now I'm in Los Angeles. So if we're using an application, and I'll do a demo later to show how when the application starts, we want the map to show where I am right now. Determining that is a lot harder than you would think. For example, it has to really come from the web browser. Um, but people have their privacy settings. Um, but even if you get it totally working with the web browser, when someone's on their cell phone using the app, again, it's a totally different API. So dealing with that was something that actually took me a week to come up with a solution. So in the book, I cover the solution in about 2 paragraphs. But just know that it took me about 2 weeks to come
Mhm.
up with those 2 paragraphs. But the solution that I provide, it works. Cell phone, computer. I've totally solved the problem. Don't worry about it. But yeah, that was something that was kind of surprising. I didn't think it was going to take me that long.
Yeah. Well, no, and I know that, like, here at Syncfusion, we super appreciate the time, and I'm sure that as people read through, they're like you're saying, like, I hope you enjoy this very quick read because it took me so long to figure it out, but I did
Exactly.
it
Yes.
for you.
Yep.
Yeah. No, I think that's great, and I know you had just mentioned, you just mentioned a demo, and it's like, I think one great way of maybe, like, learning more about it is even getting the visual. Would you actually mind going ahead and showing that off?
Yes. Let me go ahead and let me switch to share my screen real quick here.
Like,
So what we're looking at here is um, the book talks about how to get to the sample code that you can download from GitHub. So if you download the code, this is what you're going to see. So as you can see, when the map comes up, I'm the red um, thing here. Um, so it kind of shows, this is where I'm at. It even tries to figure out the exact street address I'm at. This actually is not the exact street address, but it's actually really, really close. It's like a couple of blocks away. So this was what I was talking about on how it determines like where you're at. This map, as you see, is fully interactive. I can zoom in, zoom out. I can see, you know, so it's totally industry um, standard here. As I move from uh, point to point, the map is automatically updating. So JavaScript is being used here. However, you, the programmer, you don't have to write that JavaScript, yet you can have all the functionality. This store finder application um, basically starts off with, you have your store administration, and you can add certain addresses in here. And I could just say this is location 1, and I could say, okay, let's see, this is actually the White House. I hit save. What it does is it actually figures out the latitude and longitude. So I describe how you're able to do that by calling an API through the Microsoft Azure Maps service. And then at that point, a person can just put in uh, either their current address or where they plan to be. So if I said Washington, D.C., oops, sorry, this is actually running on my local here. So
you
if I
good?
put Washington, D.C. here, Washington, D.C., when I do the search here, it basically will show any um, points that were put into administration that are close to where I did my search location. So
Yeah.
it's your traditional store finder kind of application. And I think what I was happy that I was able to do was that in the book, I'm able to cover 100% of the code that's needed to create this application, and I walk you through it all, in that book. And the book is still only 90 pages. Um, so I was kind of happy that I was able to, actually, achieve that.
Oh, I everything you're saying right now is nothing but impressive to me because, like you're saying, you're just like, here's this entire process of like how to build this application, and also like I took these 2 weeks of knowledge and
Yep.
like summarized it into like 2 paragraphs. But yeah, as like, I mean, I know, like, for everyone who's interested, we've been talking about the ebook. We will include a link in this video's description for anyone who would like to check it out. And if you've not, like, I feel like we've probably presented enough that you have a little bit of interest. But Michael, for anyone who might still need that extra push, what would you say are like some three key pieces of information that the readers will take away that you think would be worth highlighting?
Well, number one, I didn't realize how important mapping is. Um, so once I realized that I can create, mapping solutions like I showed. Um, it just there's just a lot of scenarios that this can be used for. So that's pretty much the first thing. The second thing is that you do need to use. A lot of people will say, "Well, how come I can just use free Google Maps? Why don't I just use that?" What happens is that I was working on a project for work, which was a mapping solution that would actually be used by students. And if I used a free mapping solution, you would have a situation where a student can be looking at a map, you're telling them how to get from this place to that place, but you may see certain businesses that are being advertised, you know, and they may be inappropriate.
Hmm.
So you don't want that. So that's why I had to go with a paid mapping solution. And so that's something to also be aware of.
Yeah.
That's a thing. And um, and by the way, the I do cover the cost of the Azure Maps, and it is very, very cost effective. So cost is not an issue,
Mhm.
but it does provide that safety that I think is very important.
Mhm.
And the third thing is that yes, it is possible to have an application that has advanced mapping like I showed without using JavaScript, that you can truly do it in C sharp. So
Mhm.
those are the three things that I hope that people kind of get from the book.
Nice. No, all of those sound very valuable. And just kind of curious, like I know like you've been working in this field for quite a while. Do you have any other resources that you would recommend that maybe you've worked on or anything else that if once people complete the book, they might want to learn more and get more in depth into the subject?
So the the best source of information I found is actually the Microsoft Learn site
Mhm.
regarding Azure Maps. Like I said, they do have the most information and they do keep it up to date. Like I said, the only real problem I had with them was they did not have a lot of C sharp examples.
Mhm.
At the time I wrote the book, there was only two very simplistic ones.
Okay, yeah.
Perhaps that situation has gotten better. However, the API calls are the same, so therefore that was my primary source of information, and that is what I would still recommend.
Nice. Yeah, and like I said, I feel like what you like how you're describing is like literally the book was written about the fact of there being such a lack of resources. So I was like, maybe that's just like you said, a nice like back. I was like, oh, I've gone through the book. Like, let's just check out some other things. So I think
Right.
that's not great. And then do you like if anyone would like to just like get in contact with you or like
Okay.
learn more about this kind of stuff that you've been putting out? Do you have a blog like a blog page or
Yes.
website or anything else that you would like to share?
Yes. So blazorhelpwebsite.com. That's the place to see all my examples. For example, I have another book for Syncfusion on using OpenAI. So you'll be able to download a lot of the code samples from there. And you'll also see a bunch of blog posts that I create as I'm working out the
Mhm.
book. So you'll see more in-depth, blog posts that I've made. So yeah, so everything I have is on blazorhelpwebsite.com.
Excellent. And also for everyone who's watching, we'll be sure to include a link to that in the video's description, along with a link directly to the ebook.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. Well, hey, Michael, thank you. And
Okay.
before we end today, do you have any other closing notes or additional points that you'd like to share?
Um, no, but I am grateful to Syncfusion for creating this succinctly series. I just think that they're incredible. I use them myself a lot. For when there's a subject that I need, I know I can get the succinctly series. It's very well edited. So I just want to thank Syncfusion for the opportunity to participate in the succinctly series.
Oh, we are more than happy. And Michael, we want to thank you for being a part of it. We always appreciate all of your help on this. And I mean, this book made it into the Succinctly Reader Award, so I'm sure that many other people also very much appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. And everyone who is watching, thank you for joining us. And if you'd like to learn more, as I mentioned, all links that were mentioned during this video will be included in the description below. But go check it out, and we hope to see you guys next time. All right, bye everyone.